think one of the most important conversations that you need to have on any project is a conversation where you come to grips on exactly what it is we're trying to do. What is the nature of the project we're trying to complete? What is the value that we intend to deliver? What are some of the other core elements that, if we put them together, we can describe very succinctly what this project is to other people. People coming onto the project can be handed this 1 or 2 pager to say, this is the essence of what we're doing. One of the sheets in the PDF is a sheet that at the top of the page is called the Project Nutshell. And in that Project Nutshell, there's 5 different sections to consider, to have the kind of information that basically will allow you at the beginning of the project to go, yeah, I think this is a viable project. I think we should go ahead and do that. And you can release the funds and release the resources to do that. Or you could look at that and say, no, I don't think it's really worthy of investing time in to do that. So it's enough information that allows you to make a go, no-go decision on your project. And there's a number of different areas. Let's just talk about these areas for a moment. The first one is an expression of the project itself and the goals and the scope. You want to very quickly, in a paragraph or 2, you might need to give a little bit of context, but you want to describe what it is that you are trying to achieve here. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What is the opportunity that you're trying to exploit? What is that delivered value that you're trying to achieve there? What is it that makes this project unique and different from what's already out there? A brief description of what that is. And there's some support that I'll provide in a few minutes when we talk about different tools in some of these sections here. The next section to consider is the key stakeholders or the key players on the project. Who should be engaged on the project? To what degree should they be engaged on the project? And who should be involved in the project? Who's a primary consumer of the project? And who might be potential adversarial stakeholders that we might want to pay attention to as well. Having a list of those things really helps us understand, and again, I'll talk about that in another area of this workshop. We also want to talk about clear success criteria. We want to understand how much value we are delivering for the consumer of our work, and the more we can quantify that, the better. I'll talk about an acronym you've probably heard of before, SMART criteria, that you can use as a way of expressing them in a clear, concise, but very precise form. So there's expression of that primary value and the delivery there. There's also another part to this success criteria as well. It's that every person that's on the project should be able to identify something about the project that is compelling for them. It may be that delivered value that you're trying to achieve. It may be, in addition to that, something else, like they get an opportunity to work in a new role, or to work with a team they've always wanted to work with, or to work with some new tools, or whatever it may be. Everybody should be able to connect with something about this project that would make it a home run for them, a real success for them. And it's really nice to be able to put that here, because if everybody shares what it is that makes it valuable on this project to them, why do they get up in the morning to work on this project, then we can work to support each other so that we all achieve those goals along the way. So the primary expression of success has to do with the consumer and the value that we're delivering, but there's also a secondary level, which is for every participant on the team to be able to express what's in it for them. The fourth area that we want to talk about here is any known constraints or milestones that we might have on the project. Now, a lot of projects, they talk about success in terms of on time and on budget, and I don't think that's correct at all. I like to think of time and budget usually as constraints rather than the primary driver on the project. If you've got those, nail them down here, and if you can identify any rationale behind those constraints, Capture that in here as well, because sometimes on projects, a time constraint is plucked right out of thin air, and it's good to know that. Or it might be a time constraint because of certain things that are happening in the environment. Doing an outdoor music festival is going to have time constraints around good weather. Getting ready for the Olympics is going to have time constraints on when that is scheduled. Similarly, if you're doing a project that culminates in a presentation at a conference, you've got a time constraint to that conference, and that's real credible. You might have monetary constraints or other constraints as well, resource constraints, for example. Capture those here. And then you might have additional information about some key risks that really worry you, or some assumptions that you're making. Usually these are things that we presume are things that go without saying. Say them, capture them here, because they might not be valid assumptions. And identify dependencies with other projects as well, so that you can be clear on that. Think of these 5 things as agenda items for a meeting where you're going to sit down, the key players on the project are going to sit down, hash these issues out, capture what you've expressed as the outcome of those conversations in this project nutshell page, and it's going to serve you well as the sounding board for a lot of decisions that you make on the project. It's also going to be a great way of introducing people to the core rationale behind why this project happens. This may evolve over time. You might not be able to clearly quantify the delivered value on day one. So you might be able to improve on the expression of this project nutshell, this project template later on in the project. But it's a really important document to have, but that document should be served by having the right conversations to build what's in that document. Everybody should be on the same page. Keep it short, keep it succinct, and everybody should make their decisions based on what is driving this project by what we have on this document.